Hey everybody, welcome to Founder Fridays. Today we have Cole Harris with us. He's an entrepreneur and sales leader with a track record of scaling revenue across tech, real estate, and consulting. The founder of Prospect Up, helping more than 100 companies optimize cold email infrastructure and drive high volume outreach. Experience of B2B sales, email deliverability, and building teams that deliver results. Cole, thank you so much for joining.
Thanks for having me, Jacob. Excited to be here.
Awesome. Cole, could we start with maybe your story? How'd you get started?
Yeah, I've been in entrepreneurship and sales for the last 10 years. Grew up in the GTA. After graduating, I got right into sales. My first role was at MLSE. Moved on from there, wanted to get into finance. I was thinking, that's where all the money was. I got into it, did got over a year there before I wanted to change careers. It's if you ever worked in finance, you got to wear the suit every day. It's very numbers driven, very tough. It wasn't the environment that I was looking for, and that kind of set me onto the path of entrepreneurship. Since then, I've definitely dabbled in a lot of different companies. I've had a company in my early 20s where I raised like 250K investment, big company. Things don't always work out. Started other companies after that, but throughout that whole entire time, the thread that I had was email, deliverability, cold email. That's what always sort of funded the sales engine of my companies. And then I just had this kind of moment where I thought, why not leverage that experience that I've had and the success that I've had in that? And that was about 2 years ago. And yeah, I've been running Prospect Up ever since, and making sending a lot of emails and getting a lot of leads.
Nice. Well, I can empathize with how hard emailing is when I got into started open tools. It was one of the biggest learning curves, understanding deliverability, understanding everything that comes with cold email. I never used to understand exactly how I was using my email. Is it something that's often misconceived? Is there a lot of misunderstanding when it comes to cold email and what you guys are doing at Prospect Up?
Yeah, absolutely. With Prospect Up, we definitely take a focus on the delivery side of things. I would say if you were going to look at it in three columns, you need to have a really solid lead source. You need to make sure that your contacts are going to be interested in your message. It's not very hard to solve that one, but it's definitely important. You also need to have good copy. A lot of people lean to just going to AI and, this is who I want to contact. What would you say to them? Write me a script. And, if you have bad copy that doesn't resonate with people, that doesn't provide value, you're not going to see results. One thing just about that, I find you're taking up someone's day. So you're emailing a CEO or someone who's got a busy day, and you're emailing them. So if you're going to, you better have something of value, or you're going to make someone mad, and they're not going to respond to you. And then thirdly is the deliverability. So if you're not set up properly, which you alluded to, you're going to go to spam. Now, things have changed a lot. Like in 2023 and earlier, you could, just send 1,000 cold emails from a single email address, and you'd do pretty well. But today, with AI tools, like we can use Gemini, for example. They know what a cold email looks like. It's an AI that learns what a cold email looks like, and their goal is to stop that from going to an inbox. So it's difficult to get around that. And I don't want to say you have to be sneaky with it, but you have to at least be strategical with how you send emails. And I can get into how I set up infrastructures and whatnot, but yeah, those would be like the three main things you need to find success.
Okay. And obviously, about the story about Prospect Up and how it's growing. I remember when I first met you, we spoke about the size that you guys are at now, maybe around 12 employees. Did you start all by yourself? And if you did, or with somebody else, where did you guys start seeing growth? When did you start getting employees? How did that go?
Yeah, so I actually started on Upwork. So
Oh, cool.
I made a profile, and literally I just took every job I could get. I probably was underexperienced for a lot of them, but I kind of was like, if I get the job, I'll figure it out. And I was able to figure it out every time, and people were happy. To this day, I think I have 100 5-star reviews. So, I mean, I was doing something right. Um, Started doing that. Was doing one-off kind of contract jobs until I started realizing like growth obviously comes from, revenue, like consistent contracted revenue. So I started getting into plans, will help monthly. And then when that started taking off, I actually got an intern. Um, so that was fortunate for me, and he was a really smart guy. So like he did help me for the first 4 months with the business, and then when his internship ended, I scaled up. I hired 2 or 3 employees, and then I've just been scaling ever since.
Okay. And you've been doing this since 2022, right?
I started in October 2022.
Okay, nice. And I know that you said that you started a couple businesses before. So what about Prospect Up felt like this, like, what's the click? Like, when did you notice that this is what you wanted to build and this was the right industry for you to be in?
Yeah, honestly, I think I just have a passion for entrepreneurship. Um, I love what I do. I'm very like IT. Like if you ask my fiance, she thinks it's a perfect fit for me. It was either this or going to be something in coding. I just have a brain for that kind of stuff. I'd say a lot of I enjoyed my other companies. Yeah, perhaps they were. I think that maybe I lacked the experience in the past, and it's almost like all those wins and failures that you have leading up to this kind of created the perfect storm of when I started doing this, it all just clicked because I was like, don't do that, do this, focus on this. And I was able to really, uh, grow this really quickly with a mix of like passion as well as experience. Um, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I think that also cold email, I feel like for people who might not understand exactly what goes into cold email, I do because I did this cold email mastery course and it's so much harder than people think, especially setting up like DMARC records and like
Yeah.
all the little stuff, making sure that it's perfect and then having to reset that up if the health drops or kind of deal with that and amend it and then keep up everything that has to do with it. So like obviously it's not the sexiest of the industries when it comes to hard work and having to actually make sure that everything's aligned. Do you have any advice for people who are trying to break into an industry like this that's going to take like a lot of elbow grease to get started?
Yeah. In terms of like starting a company, like an agency that does cold email, or in terms of just being a B2B company that wants to do it to generate sales.
Um, let's go with being an agency.
Yeah. So I'd say, I mean, I go back to those 3 pillars then. So, yeah, if we're going to focus on the tech side of things, you're right. There's a lot when it comes to DNS records. You need to make sure your DMARC, your DKIM, your SPF, your MX are good. Some platforms give a custom CNAME record that you can put in as well. Even further to that, like if you have like Yahoo's a tricky one. Not a lot of people use Yahoo, but if you are like going to be doing personal emails, like there's a TXT record that you could put in. So there is a certain amount of technical knowledge that you need to have. That said, it's all learnable. I mean, there should be, but there's no program you can take for this kind of stuff, but it is available online. People talk about it. And then as far as, figuring out if we're going from the agency route, just figuring out your niche and your offering. Um, if you have I'll have a conversation with a dentist, and then the next day I'll have a conversation with a SaaS founder who just raised $100 million or something. That was a client I had, and then you go to a real estate company. So if you were going to do this as an agency, you just understand that each client would need their own particular lead source. It's not something you can just go to like Apollo and just scrape leads off. You need to be thinking about it strategically. Where are these people going to be? How can I find these contacts? And then when you have that, figure out what is the best messaging approach for them. For example, if I was going to be messaging, I worked with a company that HR software. Early on, I was reaching out to them like I was reaching out to CEOs, but if you reach out to like someone in HR or a teacher or something, it's a different message than a CEO. A CEO wants quick to the facts, numbers. Uh, you want to tell more of a story if you're reaching out to someone in HR or a teacher or like a field like that, because you can touch more on the heartstrings of what you're selling as opposed to like the ROI. So just really take each client and take the time to understand their business model, who would be the best fit for it, and how you would contact them. I like to put myself in the shoes of the person I'm emailing and think, okay, so I'm this person and I get an email. What would push the dial for me to respond to them? What would I need to see? And then I kind of do that and I work backwards.
That's super interesting. I remember every time I cold email somebody, I like to think I never respond to cold emails if I can tell it's a cold email. So I always try
Yeah.
to think like, what would I respond to? Because Like it's the same way about when we're writing Open Tools' newsletter. It's like I don't personally read that many newsletters unless it's like within my niche. So I try to think about
Sure.
like what is it that somebody else would do. So that's a really interesting advice. Maybe thinking or putting yourself in the shoes of somebody who you're working for. You did mention that you started like kind of before the, I would say the boom of AI, before AI was so popular. So now with AI becoming so big and everyone writing cold copies, through ChatGPT, where do you think it's headed right now, cold email?
I would think cold email is heading to, and I think this is a double-edged sword because I think cold email is heading to completely automated, where we lose touch, we use the human touch completely to the point where you can go to a platform and all in that platform you could say, I want to send 500 emails to this audience, and this is my website. This is what I sell. And then it's going to create your emails for you. It's going to write your copy for you, and it's going to grab the leads for you. And then your campaign's going to start. I think that's where it's heading. And I think that that is most likely going to oversaturate the market, which is going to let real messaging and people that do direct approach, value driven approach, is going to be lost. And yeah, that's my thought of where I think it's going to head.
That's it's sad, but it's true. I mean, I've spent so much time trying to individually email people when I think like, hey, this is really, really important. I should send them like a really like a really well done, value driven email. And sometimes you see people sending spam emails that look so well done, so well corrected, so well generated that it's hard to tell that they're not authentic, and coming just from one person, maybe coming from a bot. So, what are some ways that you think people can tell these days, when somebody's emailing them exactly, or when they might just be getting spam emailed from a million different bots?
My number one indicator is the M dash. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
used, you know what I mean? If you get an email that has four or five M dashes in it, it's most likely completely written by AI. Um, but there's also other approaches like I actually got a cold email the other day and it said, "Hey Cole, I see the Prospect Up is based out of California. Would love to talk to you about real estate in California." It's not relevant. I'm in Toronto. So there's other giveaways, that people haven't done their homework, and you could tell a good cold email. I don't know if we're connected on LinkedIn, but just a couple of weeks ago, someone responded that they weren't interested in my email, but it was the best cold email they ever received in their life. And the reason for that was because I did so much background work with, uh, I do so much background work for every one of the contacts I reach out to, uh, with enrichment. And I think a lot of people think, okay, enrichment, I'm going to get another email for them. I'm going to get the website. But when I do enrichment, and I'm referring to it, I enrich particularly for my niche. So I research, hey, this person's doing cold email. I find out what emails they're doing cold email on. I learn as much about their infrastructure that I possibly can, and then I reach out to them with a custom approach. Now I could still do this on mass, using variables and things like that, but it's completely custom to them, and that's what gets me responses. So yeah, I would say any sort of, and I guess another way to say that would be enrichment, but and you could also say personalization. So any lack of personalization would be another dead giveaway that this is probably just done en masse, and there's not much thought into it, and most likely I'm just a you know a dot on an Excel sheet somewhere.
So, in your experience, what do you think is the most important part of cold email outreach? Do you think it's deliverability, or do you think it's copy, personalization? What do you think it is?
It's a tough one. I honestly would say it's like 33, 33, 33. You could have the best copy and the best leads, but if they're all going to spam, you're no good. You could have the best deliverability and the best leads, but if your copy is not resonating, it's not going to work, and then vice versa for the leads. If I had to say one that's the most important, I guess it would have to be the leads, because if you could have great deliverability and great copy, but if you're just sending to the wrong people that aren't the decision makers or not the people that are going to move the needle on this, then uh, you're you're not really going to get anywhere.
Yeah, I guess it's similar to what they say in sales. It's like if the prospect isn't the right prospect, then it doesn't matter what type of conversation you have with them. You can't sell diamonds to somebody who doesn't own a house. But when it
Absolutely, yeah.
when it
And it
comes
is
to,
sales.
I mean, it is sales. It's definitely sales. It's one of the hardest forms, I think, of sales, and something that, like, when I was learning about it was a huge um, curve because I didn't understand things like deliverability. It's something that nobody really talks about until you are emailing hundreds of people and then you're looking at the health of your inbox. I know that you guys offer like auditing, right, to be able to tell if things are healthy. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so if you have an email infrastructure and you're not seeing results and you believe that you have your copy and your leads done right, then it's most likely a problem with your infrastructure. So I audit people's infrastructure. It starts off with the technical side of things. So it would be looking to see, is your DMARC set up, Max, PF, CNAME, as I mentioned. We go further to what you're sending. So are you sending spam? You'd be surprised how many words are spam. It drives me crazy sometimes. The word here is a spam word. Because people say in spam emails, click here. Um, a good way to look at it is like if you think of a typical spam email, which could be like, "Hey Jacob, your credit card with CIBC is overdue. Click here to pay it." And so overdue is a spam word. Click here is a spam word. A link is spam. So yeah, I'd say making sure the content and the copy is spam free is one of the things that we would review. We also look for spin tags, which we can get into. Um, After we review that, we also do a deep dive into any blacklists that you might have. You'd be surprised how easy it is to be blacklisted. Sorbs, Use Protect. Those are just going to completely like some people they don't know that they're blacklisted with Microsoft. And like I'm going with Google, no problem, but my Microsoft people aren't. The emails aren't delivering. Then we do an inbox placement test. An inbox placement test is when we send your email out to every ISP you can imagine. Google Personal, Google Workspace, Microsoft Personal, Microsoft 365, Yahoo, AOL, SMTP. But we can actually see the delivery of each one. And then finally, we look at the actual infrastructure that you have in place. So we haven't really got into how an infrastructure looks or how it's built, but you do want to divide your send over multiple domains and multiple email addresses. A lot of people will come to me and, what's wrong? And we review everything. Oh, DNS records look good. Your messaging seems clean, but you're sending 500 emails a day from a single email address. And it's the same email address that you run your business on. So now you've got the added effect that your work emails aren't sending. Um, and then you got a blacklist. So we review all of these things. I just shared the secret sauce, so now someone at home could probably look it up themselves. But yeah, so we go over all these parameters, and we're able to come up with a plan of action to fix your issues. Typically, it takes about if we do an audit and we find problems, it takes about 2 to 3 weeks to repair everything, and then we typically see about a 3x in terms of results. So I start at the top. If you can 3x your delivery, you can 3x everything. You can 3x your open rates, 3x your clicks if you need to, and then ultimately 3x your conversions.
Okay. And don't worry about sharing the secret sauce. I literally set up like 20 email account. I think it's 20 domains, 2 email accounts, so 40 email accounts, and I would never do it all again. It was like it took me about like a month and a half to set up of my life every day, copying over DMARC records and stuff. I don't know if that's just really slow, but if I was ever going to do it again, I think I would do it through a proper service.
That's
Um,
fair.
so, in terms of cold email as a method of advertising, I'm sure a lot of builders these days, a lot of founders who are watching this, they probably are wondering, like, where should I start? Should it be cold email campaigns? Should it be paid ads on Meta? Should it be marketing and newsletters? Like, do you think that cold email is a super viable marketing approach in terms of getting clients? And do you think it's really important at a small sized business?
I think it's probably the most impact that you can have as a startup. It from everything you mentioned, it is the highest ROI you could possibly get, just due to the cost of it. So yeah, you have to set up 40 emails, but there's $7 a piece, so you're not breaking the bank. Whereas if you were going to do, for one, to set up like a meta ad campaign, if you wanted to, it takes a whole skill set. So you have to learn that just as difficult as any other. And then on top of that, you have to have your ad spend. Let's say you're doing like $50 a day. You're not really going to get much of an impact. And then when you scale it, obviously you're competing with people. There's a lot of costs. So the only other one I would think that could be comparable would be like cold calling as an outreach method, which also has low margins, but I've dabbled in it myself and I don't find that you get as good responses as you do through cold email. Um, I mean, other SEO is another one you could possibly do. It is low cost, but you're waiting. So if you have a startup, are you going to wait 6 months? Um, so I'd say if I was a startup, I would focus on like social is important, but organic, free social, just posting and then doing cold email, I think would be your kind of lowest budget, best bang for your buck.
Amazing. I know I agree completely. I also think cold calling, if you've ever, like, we're both in sales, and if you've ever had that type of job where you had to cold call like
Yeah,
80 people a day, that is just a brutal reality in general. So I think cold
totally,
emails definitely a lower barrier to entry for a lot of people who might not be spent their whole lives in sales. But
for sure.
cool. Thank you. I wanted to actually just jump into some lightning questions really quick. Is there any like daily habit or ritual that you do to stay focused while building Prospect Up?
No, there should be. I'm just going to answer honestly. I just jump into the flames. I wake up and I jump in and I have to solve a million problems and talk to a million people. I uh, I find my peace after work, but I'm a weird guy where I like to I'm just go 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 go. So do I have a ritual for it? Not really. I just when I'm done, I shut it off and then I try not to think about it till the next day. But yeah, nothing really.
I appreciate the honesty of that. There's a lot of people who are like, oh, I like meditate for 10 minutes and then look outside and think of the future, which also a beautiful answer. But at the same time, I think it's real just to say sometimes you got to hop on, like put out all the fires that are on that day and then just keep on moving. Good.
Yeah.
For the second question, is there like something we ask everybody? Is there a tool that you're using right now that you really love?
Well, I'm partnered with Instantly. I'm one of their certified experts on Instantly, so I run all my clients' campaigns through Instantly. Definitely a good tool. I use Clay a lot for enrichment. I mean, I use a lot of tools, but I guess my most used tool would be Instantly.
Okay, cool. And nice. So with Prospect Up, as you're building it, is there anywhere that people can follow along or just kind of see what you're building?
Yeah, absolutely. You can go to prospectup.io, www.prospectup.io. You can also check me out on Upwork. If you just type in email deliverability, I think I'm the top guy there. And you can also connect with me on LinkedIn, Cole Harris. Feel free to send me a connect and shoot me a message. Happy to chat.
Perfect. Awesome. And I'll link that all in the description and also in whatever post that I put this in. But Cole, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, this was fun. Thanks, Jacob. Appreciate it.
No problem.